Hello. Today's video is another question video, which at some point probably would have just been a video I made anyway. But since someone asked, I'll go ahead and do it now. So this is from username MoreLaserbeam. His or her question is, well, not so much a question, but just a request. Can you show us how to remove the deck on these tractors? They have a 590, which is going to be the same setup as this. The 590, however, can be had with a 48-inch deck. But this video should pertain to the X580, the 584, and the 590, whether or not it's a 48 or 54-inch deck. I don't believe there's any difference with the 48s. The only thing is if you have a 570, which doesn't have the hydraulic lift, I'm not sure that this will work. So, at any rate, let's get into it. So for the most part, John Deere made these tractors and decks fairly easy to remove. There's only a couple steps that I find are a little more tough or at least annoying. But the first one is going to be turn all your anti-scalp wheels to the side so that you can actually roll this out. This deck specifically weighs 151 pounds, and that would be a pain in the butt to try to drag out from under this thing without wheels. So spring-loaded clip, pretty easy. Just gotta kind of find where the little hole is and lock it in. Repeat 3 more times. Lower the deck to the ground. You'll see that when we get to the install of the deck, that the first thing I like to do is install the drive belt. I find at this part, or at this point, it's probably the easiest to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the drive belt. Next, we're going to remove the front draft arm. So there's these ring pin things on the front. There's one on each side. Take 2 of them out. From there, squeeze together just a little bit, and that will pop out. From there, pretty much just lifts off of the deck, and you can set it on the ground under the tractor. Fun fact, I actually shot the install first, and I screwed up. I told you that this rear draft arm lines up with the back portion of this pin. It doesn't. Anyway, our next step is going to be pull that pin out, lift the draft arm, the rear draft arm up slightly, and let that pin go back in. You should have this draft arm free. Do that to the other side. At this point, I find it easiest to get the draft arms up out of the way. So you may want to turn on the mower and get those lifted up. Boy, I wish that would focus on the draft arm. That's pretty good. Now for my least favorite part, pulling this deck out from under the tractor. One thing that I find challenging with this can be the pulleys under there. They can actually catch the bottom of the adjustment pin on the rear draft arm. So be careful of that. When you're pulling it, don't try yanking too hard if it's not coming any further and it doesn't appear to be stuck on a tire or anything. You might have to get under there and try to like push up and move that draft arm and pin out of the way. Additionally, it can be kind of a pain getting it past the front tires. You kind of got to work the wheels back and forth until you can get a little bit of clearance to pull the deck out. Unfortunately, you just got to work with it. I don't think there's like an extremely fast, simple, easy way, unless you buy an X700 and just get a drive-over deck. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to try to muscle this thing out of there. So let's get to it. There we go. That actually went pretty well. I didn't really get it caught too many times. So I've actually done this a few times now. Of course, the mower comes with the deck on it. However, I have done quite a bit of work lately without the deck. The grass here is finally starting to grow. So I would imagine before long I'll actually be cutting, and I'm hoping that all my work with the sleeve hitch and the rear implements will be done with for a little while at least. So I can put this back on and I won't have to worry about that hitch. But yeah, I've done this a few times, so I'm kind of getting the hang of it. You just got to work with moving the front wheels back and forth. You kind of got to do that in order to get around the front anti-scalp wheels, and then to help kind of push the deck past the tires, because the tires put a lot of pressure on the wheels, and being able to turn them, and it helps push the deck out. So. And then, like I said, just be mindful. These are the two pulleys. I don't think it gets caught on this one so much, but somewhere around these two pulleys, the pin on that draft arm can get caught. So just be mindful of that. But yeah, at this point, you're good to go. The deck's out. You can move this around wherever you need to set it while you're using the tractor without it, or if you have some maintenance under there, go for it. You can tip this back, clean it, whatever you need to do. So we're gonna put it back under at this point. We'll just start off with, trying to shimmy this thing back under. If you didn't already raise your draft arms here, the rear draft arm, it will definitely help getting the deck back under. So if you didn't do that during the removal, I would definitely recommend starting the mower up, raising your draft arms. It'll just help get the deck under there a lot easier, especially with having to move the steering back and forth. So definitely recommend raising those. Now for the fun all over again. Now that the deck's back under the tractor, I first like to hook back up the drive belt. I'm trying to do this so you can actually see. Shouldn't be too hard. That is under some spring tension back there. You can actually pull that spring pretty easily and help get that belt on. You can see here I have the the lower end, this would actually be, of the rear draft link. It's centered above where it's going to install to the deck. So if you need to, move the deck back and forth until that's about lined up, and then push it forward and back until you see this hole line up with the rear portion of this pin. Lower your draft arms. This may be slow if you don't have any weight on it, so if you have the sleeve hitch, throw some weight back there. If not, it may actually not even lower. You may have to actually get down there and pull them down while you're holding that, which could be a challenge. I lied. The draft arm needs to line up with the forward hole on the forward portion of that silver pin. The spring side's on the back side. At this point, you should be able to pull out that pin and the draft arm should be close to where it needs to be. Line up the hole. You might have to move the deck around slightly. Make sure that pin goes all the way through, and you're good. Repeat for the other side. Go up front, take your front draft arm, put that on the deck portion. Make sure that these pins are on the upward side before you place it into the frame. Squeeze them together just a little. Once they get through the hole, take your ring clips until they lock in over top. Give it a test lift. Realign your anti-scalp wheels to your desired height. And repeat. Hopefully this video was informational for you. Hopefully you now know everything you need to do in order to remove this deck. Like I said before, Deere made it relatively easy to do. Realistically, the only part that I wish would be a bit easier would be actually getting the deck out from under the tractor. It gets a little tight with the wheels. Part of it may be that the 580, 584, and 590 all have bigger front wheels. But I mean, that's what it is. As you can see, you can get it out. You just got to move the wheels back and forth a little bit, kind of use the wheel to help push the deck out a little bit past the rear tires, stuff like that. That's the best way I found to do it. As far as if there's easier ways out there, there may be, let me know. Really, the only other hard part too that I do see is for the rear draft arms, the adjustment rod basically that you turn to, you know, adjust, you know, how high and how low the deck sits when you're trying to level it and everything. That gets hung up on the pulleys in there, so that's really the only problems I see. Not sure that there's really a way to get around that. Best thing I find to do is just lifting those draft arms and getting them as much out of the way as possible. So yeah, at any rate, thanks for watching. If you have any other questions or anything, let me know. Have a good one.